Hey there, I'm Captain Christopher German. You're watching Conversations at the Helm. That is the show where we talk about all the things that are mobile lifestyle-centric, and this is the Charted Life Television Network. Well, guess what? We have done 14. This is number 14. 14 episodes of Conversations at the Helm. It's been a long season, and we need to call a season end, an audible, as it were, because if we just keep going at this pace, it's going to outgrow us, and we need to take our focus and put it on a few other things that are going on, which is including the Great Loop and One Love Sundays and all the other things that we're doing and giving you all the best content that we can come up with for sailing channels and stuff like that, and RV channels. And, you know, we've got interviews to arrange, and we've got people to thank, and we've got commercials to film, and we've got bills to collect and pay. So we've got a lot of stuff to do, so we have to take a little hiatus for the next month. We're going to enjoy the rest of the summer, and we'll see you in September when we're going to come back for a back-to-school episode coming up the first week of September. But right now what we have for you is we have all of the highlights from the season that was, the Conversations at the Helm. We had a lot of great people. We talked to some phenomenal people in the RV world and in the sailing world and all the other cool places that we got to go and do and see. And we do hope you enjoyed this season, because you are the reason we do this. Our viewers, we are so celebrative that you guys are out there watching. So, you know what? Give us a message. Tell us what you want to see in the upcoming season. And certainly check out this season that we are just concluding tonight. So thank you so much for watching. Have a look at some of the best of that happened in Season 2, and we'll be right back. Few minutes left. What did I need to talk about in this book that I forgot? What is one of the things you wanted people to take away from this book that I missed that you think really needs to be brought up about this book?
I would say that one of the messages of the book is watch for opportunities. When you've got a wish and you want a career change or whatever, whether you want to go wild and go to the Caribbean or whether you want to just change careers and go do something different, watch for opportunities, because they're always there. They're just, sometimes you ignore them. We could have ignored that little picture that said come and work in paradise, and if we'd ignored that, we might still be working in the corporate world.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to pay attention to that and look for the opportunities and then take a chance and jump in.
Yeah, jump in, both feet.
Well, if you hadn't seen that ad, you might have gotten your snorkel back, too.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Hey, that's an inside joke. If you don't know that joke, you haven't read the book yet, and you got to go to Amazon and buy the book.
That's right.
So,
That's right. Good job. Good job.
Thank you. Well, what about you, Winston? Did you want to echo any sentiments on that point?
Well, I was kind of encouraging her to say the same thing. You know, you just gotta, you see the opportunity, jump at it.
Yeah.
And don't hold back. They're out there.
Yeah, don't be afraid, because, I mean, gosh, we made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't a perfect road.
No, it isn't all happiness in that book, believe me.
We just chose to take the road less traveled.
And it is made.
And we're still doing
it. Hey, actually, I'm gonna suggest you guys check out a video on YouTube, a program on YouTube. It's called the RV Odd Couple, and they basically their tagline is they've made mistakes, and that's how they have been entirely successful with their channel, and they're phenomenally successful. We're gonna have to have them on this program at some time to talk to them, but you might offer them a little inspiration by telling them about your happenstance success.
Yeah. We will definitely look them up. You know,
we're YouTubers.
Yeah. Well, one last thing is we did 20 years running yachts. First we ran that little bar and restaurant and lived in a grass hut, and then we lived in these magnificent 100-foot yachts for 20 years, running them, being professional captain and chef. And now we have gone from that to a 17-foot travel trailer, and we're doing those adventures. So we refuse to be non-mobile. We refuse to settle down. And I hope that everybody that's got the itch to travel gets out there and does it one way or another.
You know, into your post-second life after the primary world, and you settled upon living in the RV and all that kinds of stuff. And so 5 years into it, looking back, what have you learned?
Oh, gosh. What have we learned? I mean, for those that might be wondering, by the way, what my accent is, I'm Australian.
Well, I didn't want to give away the
I've
secret.
Been here 11
so.
years. Yeah. I'm from the West Coast. You know, yeah, Second Life has definitely started my life over again back in 2008 when I moved to the US. We met in 2010. So we've been together coming up 9 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And
but we've actually been living in RV longer than traditional
Right.
home, which is a fun trivia.
right,
Well, that's
and
cool.
it's much smaller than our original home.
Well, and you know, and that was, I think, a great lesson that Jennifer and I happened upon when we decided we were going to start the charted life. You know, shortly after we got married, we had both done the house thing, we had both done the sticks and bricks life, and we just decided, you know, life had too much to hold for us as we are getting a little bit older and a little bit wiser. That, you know, why put all this time into paying the bills and paying for a sticks and bricks home? Let's do, well, you know, let's do the fun thing. Let's hop in an RV. Let's hop in a boat. Let's go where we're gonna go. How much of that was you guys starting the RV thing is not wanting to be anchored to a piece of property while you're exploring the world?
No,
Absolutely.
That was a big part of it, and actually that was what I think really a big part of driving that was after going to Australia to see a lot of Julie's family and friends and realizing that so many of them had seen more of the United States than I had. You know, I deal with work and travel fun before that, and so we thought, hey, with the limited time off we have from our jobs, because we still were working full time, mind you, we wanted to be able to maximize that time off by traveling around the country, you know, so that when you're on vacation, you're immediately, as soon as you get done with work, you're already at the Grand Canyon, you know, on the doorstep of wherever you want to go see.
Yeah, and we're both drivers, you know. We love driving. We love road trips. I mean, that's what we're always really for, and so it makes sense for us to be life. And in a nice townhome, in a nice neighborhood, we had nice neighbors, we had a nice life, nice jobs, nice cars. Like everything was nice, right? It's not like there was anything wrong in our life, nothing. But did start talking about some of our dreams for travel and seeing places and doing things. You know, I guess like, you know, a lot of people would call it a bucket list, and you know, just permission about that and think about that and needing until retirement, asking us, well, how can we start bringing more of that into our life now? How can we start living a bucket list life, I guess, and incorporate it with work? You know, we're not retirement age, but still for retirement. And we didn't do a bigger house, just the two of us. You know, we don't have kids. We had a dog at the time, and so it was just the three of us, and let's just hit the road, see these scenic highways and byways of America. There's so much beauty in North Carolina. It's amazing. And states, 5 years, we did 48 states in the first couple of years, and by the end of 3.5 years, we'd visited all 50 states. And to say that you can do that while you're still working full-time, I think blows a lot of people, because so many people think time we get for vacations and how, you know, how much travel we were able to pack into that. It was pretty crazy, right?
Well, you know, that's exactly a sentiment that came from the Hovies. We had about a month ago, we had them on here. And we have to have a big old dinner party with all of us together. And, you know, I imagine we're going to stream that live and hear the Hovie story with, you know, the Bennett story. And we've got all kinds of people that have to come together. But the Hovies were talking about, they wanted to live on vacation. They didn't want to have to work jobs and play part-time, but they wanted to play full-time and and get paid to play, or be, you know, perma vacationers is the term they used for it. It sounds like that's something that you guys happened upon as well, is this idea that you don't have to wait for 3 weeks a year to have vacation if you change the way that you choose to live your life. And I think that is the real message behind the RV life and the mobile lifestyle and the liveaboard lifestyle and all these different people and all these different programs that we have. You know, are you really thinking about, does it feel like life is vacation for you now? It's certainly, you're working too damn hard. You got books and schools and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You're switching RVs. You know, are you on vacation?
I would definitely say that we're not on vacation. We do live an enviable life in a lot of people's eyes, though.
Yeah.
We do work a lot, but we have so many experiences and so much
freedom and
fullness
flexibility,
and,
I think,
enrichment, and a lot of freedom. And that, you know, we do work a lot. The first 3 years on the road, I had a regular job that I just was able to do remotely. Now we work for ourselves, which has more freedom than before, but we still work a lot. But we at least have options. You know, like this week I had one of our friends had some heavy equipment for earth moving, and I was able to play around with that equipment on a Monday instead of being at my desk, because I could change the hours that I'm working with our flexibility, which is a real gift.
Yeah, I think anyone that's started their own business or has, you know, moved to self-employment knows that, you know, when you're self-employed, sometimes you end up working harder and longer than you did in a regular job, especially in the first couple of years when you're building that. And we've definitely been doing that, but I think what we've been doing is laying a lot of foundations and creating a lot of resources for people that, you know, I mean, we've written the book, and that came out in November. It's actually about to go into its third print run here in less than 8 months, but you know, that's out there now. You know, that's done. Same with our online school for RV, is RV Success School. That was a massive project getting that ready and launched, but that's out there now. And you know, we'll continue to do updates, but you know, we've really done a lot of work behind the scenes to lay a lot of really solid foundations to help people that, you know, we hope will be there for the longer term to help them as they embark on the journey. But you know, YouTube videos and blog posts, they're always ongoing. But I think we're getting to a point now where we've created so much content
and passive income, which then starts to give us more of that vacation lifestyle that you speak of.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of working too hard, let's talk about the time frame you had on this book. You were telling us about this a little earlier today, that, you know, you had like a 3-week deadline to get this book together, and it was printed 3 weeks later, and that was the entire grand total of for this. I mean, you guys are amazing.
We had about a month for the actual main manuscript, but we knew we had a couple rounds of edits, 3 rounds of edits, to be able to come back to do it a little bit, refine it a little bit more in the months after that. But the bulk of it and having the main manuscript was only in a month's time frame.
Yeah. We had an extra couple of weeks to pull together the photos, and it went off to print in July. And then it was printed offshore because it's, you know, it's quite heavy, and there are a lot of color photos in it. So that took a little longer to print. But it was a wild ride for sure. But it's something we're really proud of.
And that's something I think, when you find out the time it took you put into putting this together, it wasn't just the month of prep time for the manuscript and whatnot. This is a collection of photos that you've taken from the road, and that is one of the things that somebody picks this book up, immediately you see this is a very beautiful book. It's in a phenomenal coffee table book, but it's a great resource and a great mental journey to take in that book, especially with the beautiful photography and the well put together nature of the book. You know, how many different places, how long were you assembling all of these parts and pieces to be able to put such a quintessentially beautiful piece together?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of elements to that, because like you were saying, the photographs, we would have been collecting those the whole time we've been on the road, but also
not knowing they'd end up in a book.
Not knowing they'd end up in a book.
Some of them were just taken on my iPhone.
But also, there's a couple other elements to that too, in that the content, there was a lot of content, and what we've learned in that we're constantly learning from people that we meet on the road, is sharing their experiences as well. It's not just ours. We're taking our cumulative knowledge of everyone when we try and build the content to educate people in this book. But also, the orange pages in there are also RVer profiles from other people we've met that help show that there's a lot of different ways to live this lifestyle, not just one. And so those relationships were built over many years as well. So to your point, yes, this book was something that was many years in the making, embodying the knowledge and building the relationships and collecting the photos. It only came together in a short amount of time, but it was a lot of time in the building. You know, it's one of those 5-year success story, 5-year overnight success.
Yeah, I think we'd actually, Christopher, we had talked about self-publishing a book already in 2018, and we we hadn't actually sat down and dug into it yet, but that was what we had planned to do, so it was quite a surprise when out of the blue last January, this publisher, Adams Media, a division of Simon & Schuster, which many of your audience may have heard of, big publishing house, owned up by CBS, reached out to us and asked us to write the book. And we're just like, what? That doesn't happen. Like who gets a publishing deal? Publishers, it's really hard to do that these days. So I think we felt incredibly honored. Ridiculous deadline, we weren't going to say no. So we just thought we'll just kill ourselves for the next month and pull it off. And we did. So yeah, it was a ride. That was for sure.
Well, if it's been to be told by any of the videos you have out there, you handled the stress of it impeccably because you didn't have bags under the eyes, and you certainly, I mean, you could have looked pretty harrowed in that kind of time frame, but it didn't show on camera anyway. So we do applaud you for that.
that footage didn't make it to YouTube.
God bless the editing, right?
Honestly, we didn't have time. Like when we got that deadline, we said, "Oh my goodness, like we have to put everything on hold." So our audience is. I mean, luckily we've got an awesome community. RV love them. And people missed us, but I think they also really understand, and they've been really supportive. People have been with us for a long time, and so yeah, we had to put a hold on. I put a hold on my birthday even. I'm like, birthday has to wait. That has to go on hold, and then when this is behind us, then we'll go celebrate because I'll be able to relax and enjoy it more. But sometimes in life an opportunity presents itself, and you've just got to grab it with both hands and go for it. And we couldn't operate at that pace all the time, that's for sure. But it was a good team effort. Actually, it was something that it was both an equal contribution to that, and it worked.
The Airstream Nation shines from sea to shining sea, and at Airstream of Chicago, we aim to help you explore all of it. As a 5-rivet certified dealership with the largest showroom in the Midwest, we aim to provide you with unmatched customer service and the best buying experience in the industry. We believe everybody should enjoy an amazing RV experience, just as Airstream founder Wally Byam did when he designed the Airstream almost a century ago.
A travel trailer is built to travel primarily, and its main thing is to get places and go places and see things. A good travel trailer has to be built much more sturdily, and it's built very much like an airplane. It's aluminum and riveted and lightweight and strong, and is built for the highway.
Conveniently located just outside Chicago at the crossroads of America means we are here to serve your RV buying and rental needs, whether you're heading north, south, east, or west. Check us out at airstreamofchicago.com.
Do you use a generator on a regular basis? Do you have trouble starting it up, pouring the fuel in, getting the thing going? Well, if you do, we have the solution for you. Introducing Car Generator. That is, the car generator which produces the power from your car with the simple hookup of your battery, and it will only use the fuel in your car to get it going. It weighs just 16 pounds, and it is ready to go when you are, whenever you need to have electricity power to your trailer, to your RV, to your camping site, to your home, whatever. If the storms blow, if the floods come, if natural disasters strike, you are ready to go with the Car Generator. All you do is simply plug it into your car, and as long as your car has gas, you have power on the road and on the go. Don't get caught out in the cold. Call 800-750-4660 and order your car generator today, or go to cargenerator.com and order yours today. I get too controversial with what I'm about to ask here, but how do you think he would feel about the fact that you know, most of the employees at Airstream can't afford to actually buy an Airstream, but they can build it. It sounds like he was kind of in the same kind of boat.
Yeah, I don't. He never. He may have owned one back in the 30s, but he never owned an Airstream. And of course, he had access to any Airstream that he wanted. You know, it's really a strange thing, but you're never going to get away from the worker and ownership. And one of the things about a lot of Airstream owners today, you have those that can buy the most expensive brand new one, or those that have been able to pick up a vintage one for not a lot of money, and they have the patience to rebuild it on their own, and now they qualify to join the club, or they now have the Airstream adventure of traveling down the road, but they do that on a very limited budget.
Yeah.
So you have that whole wide experience of the type of owner within the Airstream world.
Well, and that's exactly where Jennifer, my wife, and I are. We got invited into the club because we got a 1970 Sovereign that we're restoring, and we gutted, and it's not even close to roadworthy yet, but we've put a lot of time, money, and effort into it, and it's not done yet. But, you know, I think the thing that I'm learning about from doing the restoration, as well as from all the videos that I'm watching, because we're desperately trying to find somebody that wants to put a television show together on an Airstream. And the thing is that that Wally had, which I think was the thing that really sold the Airstream back then and is bleeding through the rivets till today, is his passion for travel and his personality. And you see it in every single rivet and every single sheet of aluminum. You see it in the framing. You see it in these wonderful contraptions that he thought up. What is it like to be, you know, kind of an inheritor of that kind of spirit?
Well, I don't think, you know, it's sort of amazing to think about it. I think that in some respects it's just part of my life. So it's the inheritance doesn't come out until I do an interview, say with you, or the article that's coming out where I guess it's called a living legend in a magazine called Overland Journal. It's going to be probably about 10 pages of interviews that went over several months last year and some additional interviews this year. It'll be out, I think, in late July or the first part of August. It's then I really appreciate that part of my life because for years, after my mother retired in 1979, from Airstream. She'd started in 55, so that was just a little over 24 years of working for Airstream. Other than a few caravanners that we had mutual friendships with, I had no real contact with Airstream at all, and little or no contact with the club, just with a few friends. And by the time my mother passed away in 2004, there was only maybe one or two friends left alive that were during that period of my time from 1951 through 2004. And it's not one of those things. You go to lunch with your fellow managers and you have a hamburger or a salad or whatever, and well, guess what I did this day 20 years ago? I was in the middle of the Belgian Congo. You don't bring up those things. So the discussions and my memories and everything that I did would be only shared basically with my mother and my wife, and not a common topic. And then all of a sudden, I get a call after my mother died in October, and the gentleman's name was Russ Banham. He wrote the book Wanderlust, Airstream at 75, still the finest book on Airstream history, bar none. There's been some additional ones. There's been some before that, but his is the best. So I called him up, and he said, well, I'd just like to do 30 minutes with you. And we got through talking. He said, oh, I can see we're going to be talking more than 30 minutes. So we probably spent maybe 60 hours or more on the phone back and forth. I sent him 35 pounds of documents, and he had to ask Airstream to increase the book, I think by 16 or 18 pages, since it was a company book and they're paying for it. That's quite a bit of additional change, but because of that, the book came out better and the way it should be. And the other thing that was interesting, and I still guess I have them somewhere on a computer, I have the first 6 chapters that he sent to me before he sent them to the editor so that I could go through them and see if there's anything that I might suggest or correct.
Wow, wow.
So that's my introduction back into the Airstream world. And then very interesting, Airstream and the Wally Bime Caravan Club sent my wife and I tickets to join the dedication of the plaques in Kentville, Nova Scotia in 2005 over the same period of time that the club was formed there.
Uh-huh.
And so that was very exciting, and also brought me even further back into the Airstream world than where I'd been before. And then a little bit later on, or earlier I should say, over the 4th of July, I actually went to my first international rally since the one that I went to in Cadillac, Michigan in 2005. I think it was 2005. Not 2005. 1960s, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting, getting back. Got to meet Rich Lure for the first time, Airstream Life. And
This is where we are right now. Hello, the Charted Life. This is the Crabby Captain and the Sunny Sailor, and we're in the kitchen today, showing you how easy or difficult sometimes it may be to cook in the galley. We are having a nice calm day, and we're on a mooring ball today, so the boat is pretty still. The boat is pointing into the wind like it should be, but there are days that we are in locations that it's very rolly, and then that makes the boat rock like this, and then it becomes much more of a challenge to cook in the kitchen. There's a lot of catching your balance, and there's a lot of just trying to stop things from rolling off the counter. But today we're having a good day, so you get to see what it's like. Now, let me give you a warning. I am not a good cook. I am not. I don't claim to be. I try to be, but I'm really awful at it. I don't know how to put foods together that taste good. So I use a recipe with internet allows me to be able to put in the ingredients that I may have in my kitchen. Today it is some delicious brie from the French islands and some chicken breast and some broccoli and some pasta. And then I look up a recipe and voila! I have a recipe that uses those very ingredients. Thank God for the internet. Anyway, so what's it like to cook in the kitchen? Well, we have a boat that is a center cockpit. It has a galley that's really long and stretches this way. We have nice cabinets on this side. This collects a lot of things that we use often and can't go into the cabinet. We also use some of the salon area to store canned goods and some other non-perishable goods. And then we have a refrigerator and we have a freezer. This is a microwave that sits on top of the freezer. And then we have gas stove. Well, what we're gonna cook today is chicken and pasta and brie. And here is my recipe that I must follow because I don't know how to do it otherwise. So we have nice little cabinets over here that lock, and we put all of our spices and different little hand things that you need when you're cooking. The problem is that if you buy bottles that are any bigger than this, they won't fit in there. So that becomes an issue when you're buying things. You can't buy a big supply, or you buy a big supply, store it somewhere else in the boat, and then you have to refill the little bottles that will actually fit in there. We have to turn our solenoid gas on and then light the stove manually. And then when we're finished, we always turn off the gas on the main switch so that it will bleed out the gas out of the line, so that we don't keep gas in the lines when we're traveling around, because that's a safety hazard. Safety. We're going to start browning some chicken. I already made pasta ahead of time. I'm going to mix all this together, and hopefully it will come out delicious. And if it doesn't, you won't be able to tell anyway. Only I will and the captain will, and he pretty much eats anything, so he's good about that. So whatever I serve him, he's like, it's food. Like he always used to say at the firehouse, if you serve your food a little late, it always tastes better and people eat more of it. So I always serve the food just a little late, because if you're starving, even dry crackers taste good. We are able to provision pretty well on most of these islands. I'm able to get chicken, a lot of meats and vegetables, and we try not to eat out of a can just because it's not really that taste friendly, and it's also not good for you. If you can eat fresh, we try to eat fresh. So we try to go to the grocery and get provisions, and then whatever we are able to get provision, that's what we eat.
That's right. Whatever we can get, we eat.
Yeah, beer. So dishwashing is a problem in the boat. We have a water maker, but we really try to conserve water. So washing dishes consumes a lot of water. So we have a drain rack that actually sits down in one half of our sink. If we wash in one half, we can put them to dry and they drain in here. Otherwise, they drain all over the counter, which is not very good. And you lose one half of your sink. But what else are you going to do? You're on a boat with a glorious life. And it's beautiful. Beautiful life. Love it. So we got nice little drawers, and they lock, because when the boat's doing rocking or heeling and everything's rolling over to one side, yeah, you gotta be able to lock the cabinet. So what I'm doing is a little chicken and pasta dish. It's not gonna be super fancy, but with the cheese that we were able to get in the French island, everything is better with cheese. So we are doing some grilled chicken. Sounds healthy, right? But then we load it up with cheese. The problem with the refrigerator is that whenever you need something, inevitably, it's always at the bottom. So that means you have to take everything out to get to anything that's at the bottom and then put it all back in. So, fortunately, this was not too bad, but many times the entire counter space is filled with the refrigerator, and then the refrigerator will go back in. This is what we got going on now. Alright, so our recipe calls for browning or toasting the walnuts, so that ain't happening. So whatever toasting will happen in this pan is the toasting that will happen. Now, if you are watching this and you are horrified by my cooking techniques, I know I suck. I know I'm bad at it. I enjoy when people give me wonderful tips and tricks that they use, but if you know that I'm doing this wrong, just know I'm doing my best. I'm sad. And these containers are really pretty good because they have a lock down on them, so when they go in the refrigerator and sometimes things get tossed all around, they lid lock. Alright, so then we have some cheese going in here. The recipe also called for cutting the rind off of the brie, and I am just not doing that because it wastes a lot of the cheese, and I don't mind the rind, and I don't want to throw anything away that is edible. So let's see if this dish that I'm creating for the first time comes out any good. All right, I think it's time to eat. Let's see how it works out. Delicious. This is the best part about cooking. The best part. We just wanted to say thank you to the Charted Life for showing our videos. We really appreciate you. And make sure you subscribe both on YouTube and our website, which is listed below and above. Thank you. And hope to see you soon from the Krabby Captain and the Sunny Sailor. Whoop, whoop.
Available at the Charted Life's Odd Cheese Shop.
Something and go, well, I like those shoes, but what pair of shoes am I going to get rid of? I mean, I only have 4 pair of shoes, so I don't want to get rid of any of them. I like them, so then I don't buy it. It really does it really keeps you within budget.
I'm convinced our dog is the reincarnation of Imelda Marcos because she makes piles of shoes all over the place. So I think we'd break her heart if we got rid of her.
That's hilarious.
Order your copy today at thechartedlife.net and go to the Odd Cheese Shop.
Is this us? Are we ready? Where would we go? How far? How long? How many of us? Can we drive it? Can we tow it? Could we do this? Stop wondering. Start wandering. Airstream. Take the first step today.
Source is Dr. Susan Lloyd, and I was over there today and I was talking to her, and I would really very much like you to have a look at her talk and hear some of the tips she has for traveling for animals and people while underway, both land, on shore, and on the sea. This is Captain Christopher German with from Charted Life Conversations at the Helm, and we are with Dr. Susan Lloyd at Live Oak Veterinary Hospital in Beaufort, North Carolina. And the reason why we came here is she's our doctor, not our doctor. Obviously, Jennifer and I wouldn't go to veterinaries for our medical needs or anything like that. But we do have 2 dogs, Paisley and Buxton, and our 3 cats, Kitty, Rudder, and Yogi. And she takes care of all of them for us. So we thought, who better to talk to than talk to a doctor about traveling with pets? And so we were talking a little bit before this, and there's a whole bunch of things that people should know about. But what are the first, I think, what are the major tips that people should look at before they live aboard with their pets or go traveling and such?
One of the best things, or the first things you need to do is put together a veterinary packet for your animal. Make sure that you have all of their records with you, because obviously you're not going to see your regular veterinarian wherever you're traveling. Mm-hmm. You can get records put together. They should have a vaccine history. What kind of allergies, any kind of allergies of any kind, whatever, idiosyncrasies that any veterinarian would need to know. Map out where you're going and try to find 24-hour veterinary practices in case you have an emergency on the road. There are places everywhere, but you can look them up on the map, just sort of make a note to each place you're going to stop. That way you'll be prepared for that if anything happens on the road. Make sure that you bring the food that the animal is used to eating. Mm-hmm. To start off, it's a good idea to bring their normal water as well and transition them if you're going to be in a certain area for a long period of time. That helps just reduce some GI upset and things like that.
What about making them uncomfortable? I know Paisley got kind of stressed out when she was in the hotel room with us when we were up in Ohio this past weekend. Obviously it's nice to bring a little toy for them or something like that, but what else can you do to make them comfy in like foreign places?
Absolutely. Always take a crate for the cat or the dog. The cat, obviously, the normal litter, a bed that they would normally sleep on, dogs as well. Toys, make sure you keep them occupied so they don't get bored. In motel rooms especially, you want to have your dog in a crate to protect them. It gives them a place that they feel safe. They'll have their own blanket inside. It smells like home. The other thing that you can do is get a mild sedative or a mild nutraceutical type medication that will help ease them so they're not so stressed in a new environment.
Well, when Buxton and I were living aboard the boat initially, long time ago, she was a puppy, and I'd put kind of treats all over the boat and try to get her to like the boat. Now I can't keep her off the boat. Actually, which is nice too.
Because she likes the boat.
She loves the boat. But what other things can people do to make it fun for them and kind of, especially cats? I think I have one cat, Rudder, is completely seasick all the time. How do you make them more comfortable?
That is a medical issue that you'll have to discuss with your veterinarian as far as the seasickness or motion sickness is concerned. There are some really good medications that will help with that. The other thing is don't expect them to travel on a full stomach, always on an empty stomach. They should always have water available, but not a full stomach. That obviously can cause some vomiting. With cats, entertain them. If they're in a larger crate, hang something up that they can bat, they can play with. Balls in the bottom. Dogs, the same thing. They should have something to chew on, something to entertain themselves with. They make some pretty neat little toys where that you can hide treats in for the cat and the dog that they have to sort of push around to get the treat to come out, and that occupies them while they're traveling.
Keep them happy, keep them fun.
Kind of like the kid in the back seat with the
the ditty bag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then actually the back seat is a wonderful opportunity to get into this subject. Some of our viewers are commenting saying that they just let their animals ride in their trailer as they're heading down the road. What are your thoughts on all that? We talked a little bit before, but I'm going to ask you to repeat yourself if you would.
It's fine. I would not do that. I would not recommend that at all. The animal should be in the same part of the vehicle you're in. Any emergency situation is the trailer comes disconnected, you have an accident, it flips, it rolls, whatever, anything can happen. The animals are completely separated from you. You don't know what's happening to them back there, you don't know where they are. They can be severely injured with no recourse. They have no, even if they're in a crate, the crate's launched everywhere. So they're definitely going to be better in with you. You also have more temperature control, environmental control, if they're with you. Even if you have a temporary setup for air conditioning or heat, it can malfunction. We see dogs all the time that are left in a car with the car running outside. Oh, I just ran into Walmart for a minute and come out and the dog's dead. Or the cat, for that matter. They don't do temperature any better than dogs do. So I would definitely recommend putting them inside the vehicle with you.
Well, we are a beachside community, so to speak, so I imagine you've run into a few animals that lived on people's boats. Have you run into any particular strategies that people could employ with respect to animals afloat?
Make sure that your animal can swim. That's the biggest thing.
Don't all animals know how to swim?
Some of them don't like it, and some of them can be rather top-heavy. I personally had a miniature schnauzer one time that could not swim, period. He would try really hard, and he'd do this. His back end never did anything, so he just kind of went like this and sunk. Kind of sad, but it happens. They need to be acclimated to the water as well, so that if they fall in by accident, they're not freaking out. It's just like a kid who doesn't know how to swim. They need to be acclimated and understand what to do when they're in the water. Cats especially, because they don't particularly like it. Some do, some don't. And you can make that a game as well to just get them used to it. Make sure if you're on a boat that you have an area that they can go where they can't fall out. You don't want them up on the bow or back on the stern or whatever, where they can just slip and fall out. We do see emergencies every holiday when people are over on the banks with their dogs and their boats, where the person turns around and the dog's in the water, they forget the dog's in the water and they run over the dog with the boat, or somebody else runs over the dog with the boat. Don't see that very much with cats because they're usually not on the banks.
Right.
But that's the sort of thing that you really want to try to avoid, putting them in an area where they can fall out by accident or jump out. Labs, like, oh, there's a dolphin, I'm going to go get it.
Right.
Not on purpose to attack it or anything, but there's something I want to go retrieve. So you want to make sure that there's railings around, that sort of thing.
There's also a number of books I've read, and I've heard a number of stories of like people that have their cats aboard sailboats. They'll actually leave a line trailing in the water all the time, because if they do fall overboard, they'll have something to grab onto. And there's those stories, 30 miles later, they realize the cat's still hanging on out back out there. Have you run into anything like that?
I have once. I've never really heard a lot of that, thank God. Most cats realize, I mean, if you get them acclimated, they realize that they are going to fall in and they're going to be wet. They're not going to get anywhere near that area. I mean, obviously, if the weather's bad and everybody's out, then you need to put them in a crate underneath so they don't go out. But definitely a line out back that they can grab onto is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and so what am I forgetting? What else should we know about animals and life aboard and traveling with? And what about like going to foreign ports and such?
Make sure that you have a health certificate. You need, if you're going to foreign ports, especially on a boat, you need to make sure what their requirements in that country are before you leave. You can't, it takes about 6 months to get a dog into Trinidad and Tobago. It's a horrible experience. I had a client who moved back home, that's where she's from, and it took us about 6 months.
Wow.
And the dog got there after she did because there was still a glitch at the end and they had to ship the dog later. It was just a big mess. And most islands are like that. They typically don't have rabies, so they're very particular about letting dogs in, cats in. So you have to make sure that you have all of the documentation that you need. You want to know ahead of time where you're going to plan on going and find out what they want. Sometimes it has to be 10 days ahead where you get a health certificate. So if you're traveling to multiple places over a couple of months, then you're going to also want to plan out where you stop to get that next health certificate because this one's going to run out.
And doing the Caribbean thing could be another challenge, especially if you're island hopping from place to place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I have taken up enough of your lunch hour. I thank you so much. Dr. Susan Lloyd over at Live Oak Veterinary Hospital. You can find them on their website. You want to give your website real quick?
It's lovhospital.com.
And we're going to put that up on the screen. She's the best vet around. Totally recommend her. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Say hey to the kids.
Okay, we'll do.
Hey, welcome to Alaska Local Music. I'm here. I'm Lance here with Chris Talley.
How's it going, Lance?
What's going on?
What are you into? And he's like, I'm actually a rapper. And I was like, oh snap, that's dope because
Yeah, I've seen that on Facebook.
you know,
It's great to have someone that supports you and be behind you.
oh yeah, yep, exactly.
Do you use a generator on a regular basis? Do you have trouble starting it up, pouring the fuel in, getting the thing going? Well, if you do, we have the solution for you. Introducing Car Generator. That is, the car generator which produces the power from your car with the simple hookup of your battery, and it will only use the fuel in your car to get it going. It weighs just 16 pounds, and it is ready to go when you are, whenever you need to have electricity powered to your trailer, to your RV, to your camping site, to your home, whatever. If the storms blow, if the floods come, if natural disasters strike, you are ready to go with the Car Generator. All you do is simply plug it into your car, and as long as your car has gas, you have power on the road and on the go. Don't get caught out in the cold. Call 800-750-4660 and order your Car Generator today, or go to cargenerator.com and order yours today. Ban the bag in Beaufort. Contribute what you can. Jennifer, roll the tape.
It's 5:39. Time for other news stories that are maybe going to shock you into life on this hump day. An American diver broke the record for deepest submarine dive ever. He says he found new species and plastic bags and candy wrappers. One of those plastic bags was just lying on the ocean floor 7 miles down.
As we drag our bins out for collection, it makes us feel like we're helping the environment. But there's a problem. We're being conned.
Temporary closure of Borough Cay, which has been called a cesspool, and disturbing videos and images of plastic-filled Bali have been emerging after authorities declared a garbage emergency.
It's an atrocity that even the most remote places on our planet are now filled with the testimony of our filthy habits.
The plastic pollution problem seems to be a never-ending problem with no solution. But the truth of the matter is it's a matter of public knowledge that when we get together as a human people, we can do amazing things. We are proposing, with Ban the Bag in Beaufort, that we work together as a community, as a people, to ban our world of these problems by taking responsibility for these problems. We propose that by working together as a community, we can take personal responsibility for this problem and stop using these products at the source of them, where we use them and consume them, and instead convince our business community and our political leaders that they don't have to take action because we will do it for them. It is our hope that by raising awareness of this problem in our local and state and national community, we can convince people to refuse these usage of these products so that when they come to the store or they go to the restaurants or they go wherever they may be in their daily life and they see plastics, they may choose an alternative. And by reducing the demand for these products, we hope we might convince the world that we no longer need these products. Not so long ago, America was faced with the idea that they were going to have to give up tuna. It seemed that tuna nets were incapable of deciphering between tuna and dolphin, and thousands of dolphin were being killed every year in the pursuit of that tuna fish sandwich. Americans couldn't live for themselves, and so they went to the store and they stopped buying tuna. The tuna industry very quickly decided that they had to change their practices, and it was very soon thereafter that dolphin-safe tuna was brought to the market and the dolphin population rebounded. That is the mechanism we're hoping we can tap into to get plastics removed from our lexicon. By reducing and eliminating consumer demand for plastics, we will have a massive effect on the economic base of these products and thereby reducing the use of these products and the supporting industries that make these products available to us. We can change America just by refusing usage of these products in our homes, and it is our hope that Ban the Bag in Beaufort and beyond will convince you to stop using single-use plastics in your home so that we may have a global effect. You can help this effort in any number of ways, by refusing styrofoam containers, or simply changing the way that you do business as a small business owner. All of these efforts are appreciated and needed, but we also ask that you help support our efforts financially. And you can send your contributions to Ban the Bag in Beaufort and beyond, care of The Charted Life, 209 North 35th Street, Morehead City, North Carolina. Thank you so much for all that you do, and God bless our planet.
Plastic pollution mean to the Crystal Coast?
First of all, plastic pollution, people need to realize, first of all, this is a big problem. It's a global problem. It's something that we're seeing a huge impact, not just here in the States, but around the world. Here in this country, we are one of the largest producers of plastic, and also the ones who throw a lot of plastic away. So it is a global issue, but we bring it down to the Crystal Coast. And it's also a big issue here as well, too. And we need to bring it down to being a very personal issue as to what is it that I'm doing as an individual, or not doing, that can help in regard to the plastics in our water. Now, we use the term plastics in the water in a very broad sense, but there's a lot of different ways and different types of that plastic in the water. We have a tendency to think, first of all, plastic bottles. And they are everywhere. They're just everywhere. That's the best way to put it. So we think of plastic bottles, and we'll think about plastic wrappers of this sort. But it's also things like fishing line that is part of this plastic problem. Plastics, whatever form they start in, they don't particularly break down, but they break apart. So they continually break apart into smaller and smaller pieces, until we get to what's called a microplastic. And a microplastic is a very tiny piece of plastic that is easily ingested by pretty much every aquatic animal that's out there, and land-based animals as well too. But we have that problem more specifically to the sea life, the aquatic animals, either getting entangled in the plastic, if it's the case of the fishing line, or ingesting these microplastics. And when we talk about microplastics, that issue goes even a little further in that these microbeads, or microplastics as they're referred to, when they're in the water, are attracting toxins. So they're actually absorbing toxins into the small pieces of plastic, which are then ingested. So now those toxins are now in the fish or in the other aquatic life that's out there. And you take that and you look at the food chain. Well, where does that go? If you have even krill or shrimp that are ingesting microplastics and ingesting that toxin, they're fed upon by a larger species, and it goes all the way up the food chain until eventually it gets to us. So we are actually ingesting a lot of plastics that we don't even know about. We're not even aware of, because it's in this microplastic form. And in the process, also the toxins. So it really is an issue that we here at Crystal Coast Waterkeeper are getting more and more involved with all the time. It's important, yes, for people to say no straws. And we get people having different reactions to that. Well, what's the big deal about a straw? And one of the lines for that is, what's the big difference, or what's the big deal about plastic straws, said 8 billion people.
Yeah.
So when you start to look at it and really, and then think about your own daily usage, okay? We're actually in most restaurants, and Rebecca's going to talk about some of that, I'm sure, in a minute as well, you get a straw automatically, whether you ask for it or not. And we've even had instances where you say, I don't want a straw, and they almost don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to change that culture. But the straws have really become kind of the poster child, or the rallying point, to illustrating how much is really out there. But you can look at straws, you can look at the plastics that we've talked about here. It's so much ingrained in our everyday life. And it is, we'll be the first to admit, it's difficult to go plastic free.
Yeah.
In some ways, if you look at plastic as a whole, it's almost impossible. If you look at your automobile, how much of that car is made of plastic? So I don't think that we will ever get to a point where we are completely plastic free. The areas that we're trying to focus on are like the single-use plastics. And again, you're talking about the plastic wrappers.
Mhm.
It's used one time, and it either ends up in a landfill or it ends up in the water, and that's it. So now it's got thousands of years to break apart and really become a problem. So when we look at it here at Crystal Coast, this is pretty much where we have to start. We have to start at home. Now, we are involved with several larger organizations here in the state and in the country. One of those being Plastic Ocean Project in Wilmington. Waterkeeper Alliance, who licenses us to be the Crystal Coast Waterkeeper. We're doing some plastics work with them as well, too. But it really has to start at home. Mm-hmm. And understanding it's going to be a lifestyle change. We're not asking you to give up plastic completely. You've got the old reuse, recycle. We've got to really start to get serious about what happens before we get to a recycle or reuse.
Mm-hmm.
Don't buy it at all.
Yeah.
If you go to the supermarket, everything is wrapped in plastic. You have vegetables and products, produce, that are wrapped in plastic that don't need to be wrapped in plastic. It's a convenience thing. That's a single-use plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Take your own grocery bags to the store. One of the other kind of rallying points are plastic bags, like you would get from the food store or the big box stores. We don't want to call them out by name, but we all know who they are. If you think about visually what that plastic bag looks like floating in the water, it's pretty easy to visualize what an aquatic species, like a turtle or a dolphin, porpoise, whatever, what they see. Wow, that looks like food.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, they're ingesting even the smaller pieces because it looks edible. And when we hear reports of birds, fish, even mammals being caught or picked up once they've died, their stomachs opened up and full of plastic to the point where their system is saying, I'm full, I can't eat anything else. But there's nothing nutritionally there for them. Mm-hmm. And their bodies can't get rid of it. Mm-hmm. So there's really just so many different aspects to this. But it all comes down to what can we do? Okay? And it's not only a matter of what can we do, it's what we have to do. We have to change our mindset. This is a mindset thing. Plastics are a convenience. Okay? You go to the fast food restaurant, you get a plastic cup for your drink. Can you change that approach and say, well, can I just get this in my own cup? Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of restaurants aren't always real sure if they can do that or not.
Yeah.
But it's something to ask about. But you've got to start at home, okay? And realize that if you go fishing and this is what you leave behind, it's not good for the environment. It's not good for the animals that are out there. So our focus is kind of multifaceted. We are doing educational work, which is Rebecca's area of expertise. But we're also helping with the actual research. These microplastic trawls that we refer to actually take these out into the water systems mm-hmm. and pull them through the water, collect the microplastics, have them analyzed. We're developing a project which we won't only just do that here, but we have 14 waterkeepers across the state of North Carolina that have all said, I want to know what's in my river. Mm-hmm. I want to know what's in my watershed. So we're going to start using this equipment to go around the state. And then that will actually go back to Plastic Ocean Project, to their lab, where they will kind of break it down to see what all is in there. And then also analyze for whatever toxins may be present. This is a huge issue. There have been estimates that by the year 2050, there will be more plastic pollution in the ocean by mass than there will be fish. That's huge. And just recently, there was a deep sea trip made to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point in our oceans. And what did they find? Plastic bottles at the bottom of the ocean. We have one of our board of directors who is a sailor, and he's been in the Bahamas. It's incredible. You think of the Bahamas as this pristine place, and you've got trash. Well, guess what? You go right here on Atlantic Beach and find that kind of trash. We do cleanups on the beach, we do cleanups on the sounds, on the rivers, and you do that, and you come back with thousands of pounds of trash. The really sad and frustrating part is that we could go back again the next week and almost have the same amount. What is it that we say, okay, I'm done with this plastic bottle, I'm just going to throw it out the window. And maybe it's just because of the work that we do. It just doesn't make any sense to me. At least put it in a place where it has a chance of being properly disposed of. But when we talk about these cleanups, if you look at the overall volume of what we pick up, a lot of it is trash, but the majority of what we get is plastic of some form. And then, if we talk about cigarette butts, we're blue in the face. But it really is, to me, it's a crisis level at this point. That we're at a real tipping point where we're going to see a major impact to our commercial fishing industry. Because they're going to be bringing back in fish that may or may not even be suitable for consumption because of the amount of plastics and trash and toxins that is picking up as part of their daily life cycle. So we cannot separate ourselves as individuals from this problem. We just can't. So that's where we're coming from Crystal Coast Waterkeeper perspective. From the educational side, from the scientific side, from, we're hoping to even get to the point where we can get our legislators to maybe ban some bags. Okay? The plastic bags, we talked about that. On the Outer Banks, they actually had a ban on plastic bags that the legislature overturned and turned it around. What the heck are we thinking?
Florida just did that last week.
What the heck are we thinking?
Yeah.
We've got a ban. The grocery stores and other stores on the Outer Banks were in favor of not having plastic bags.
Right.
But our legislators turn around and say, well, no, we don't like that, so we're going back. There's a real reason for that. And again, it's money. Okay? Somebody's making a lot of money off selling plastic bags. And we can touch on it real briefly. I know it's not the focus of this program, but where does plastic come from? It comes from petroleum products. So this plastic use issue is now an oil industry issue because of the amount of oil that is being used to make plastic products. So when you look at lobbying efforts, and I can't say that I followed the money specifically, but it's all interwoven. Now, one of the issues that we're fighting here at Crystal Coast Waterkeeper as well is the plan by the current administration to open up the coast for seismic blasting and offshore drilling. Okay, that's not going to help us when we even look at it from the plastics issue, because that petroleum products are going to be used in part to make more plastic. Yeah. It's really, and I'll go back to the same statement again, it's a crisis. I firmly believe it's a crisis. One of the things that I or we cannot do is sit here and say we've got it all right, because we don't. And a lot of that is it's tough to get it right all the time. When you look at the opportunity of, well, can I use a reusable bag or do I take my own? Well, I went to the store, shoot, I forgot to bring my bag, so I've got to take one of theirs. So we're not saying that we're perfect, but we're certainly working very hard, personally, as an organization, in the community, statewide and even nationally, to try to help get this plastics issue elevated to the point where we can start to make some differences.
Is this how you want to see the world? Do you want to explore waters all over the place and sit on sunny beaches drinking cocktails? But is this your daily life, most of what you see of the water? Well, join the throngs of sailors who have taken on the mobile lifestyle and set out on the Great Loop, a voyage around the eastern United States of America, up the Mississippi, through the Great Lakes, down the eastern seaboard, and back to Florida. We'll provide you with the boat and the sailing experience. All you need is the desire to set sail. If you want to see the United States by sail, send us your tape, and we're casting one lucky couple who will set out on the Great Loop. That's right, we'll teach you to sail, we'll provide you with the sailboat, and we'll do everything we can to get your videos as much exposure as possible. All we ask is for a year of your time and the willingness to learn. Send us a 2-minute video of you and your special someone telling us why you want to be on the Great Loop, and send it to info@thechartedlife.net. Only on the Charted Life television. Weekends. Many of us spend them mowing the lawn, building a deck, or cleaning out the garage. Those things need to happen, and usually these tasks are about as much fun as getting a root canal or paying taxes. They need to get done, though, and that's why so many of us get caught up in doing them, and that's why we forget to have an adventure. It's also why so many of us want to live full-time on an RV or in a boat, and just so many more dream about it. And why, with these busy lives we live, we forget to live our best life right now, which includes having fun and enjoying life. We think there'll be plenty of time for fun in retirement, or when the kids grow up, or when we lose a few pounds or have a full month of vacation. There's dozens of reasons why people put off having fun in their adult lives. But just because you're not casting off the sticks and bricks life and hitting the road full time today doesn't mean you can't have an adventure this weekend. Weekends can be just enough time for a quick taste of the mobile life if you remember to take the opportunity to make an adventure. Be a tourist in your own hometown. Go to the museums. Try that new diner everybody's talking about. Go camping locally. Adventures don't have to cost a fortune, but you have to go to have them. We're planning to live the mobile life, splitting time between the boat and the Airstream, but like so many others, we're not quite there yet. Our Airstream Tilly and our sailboat, the Lost Boys, are both in need of some major renovations. They've been hampered by hurricanes, shoulder surgeries, and other pitfalls of life. We'd love to spend every free moment working on it, but instead we all too often find ourselves working towards it, losing the sight of our goal and getting bogged down with life. And that's when we realize that we need to have an adventure. We both love to explore, and we both need to explore, but we don't have to go that far to do it. A ferry ride to Ocracoke with the bikes, camping on the Tanky at Cape Lookout, a road trip to Georgia for Brunswick stew and barbecue, or maybe a weekend in the Smoky Mountains drinking wine. These are all adventures we have taken and what has made us want to live on a permanent vacation, just as Cynthia and Winston Hovey committed to in their tale of mobile lifestyle. There's a yacht more to life. We're trying to make life an adventure, but we're not there yet. And that's why we spend our weekends and holidays driving to Jackson Center, Ohio, or sailing to a hidden anchorage on Shackleford Banks. It's a way to keep us sane while we dream of setting sail to Saint Somewhere, or waking up on a cold morning in the Rocky Mountains in our Airstream. That's the life we want, and we're not going to wait until retirement to do it either, but we're not there yet either. And that's why we have weekend adventures. And we're back. Thank you so much for watching this episode, guys. We really do appreciate all of our viewers and everybody that made this season a success. This is going to be our final episode. At least, I think we'll probably come back sometime right around Labor Day. So stay tuned for the Back to School episode, which we're going to be filming come the first week of September. But we're going to take a little bit of a break for the next month and try to regroup and make this thing a great big success, because the Charted Life is what it's all about. You guys are the best. Really do appreciate. For Conversations at the Helm, I'm Captain Christopher German. This is the Charted Life Television Network, and we'll see you in September.
Let's get away from it all. Let's take a trip and a trailer. No need to come back at all. Let's take a powder for Boston or Chowder, and let's get away from it all.